Mihawk vs Shanks, who's stronger? A debate that has echoed throughout the One Piece community ever since both characters were introduced. Mihawk or Shanks? Who truly stands at the top? In this video, I'm going to finally settle this debate as fairly as possible, based on what we know from the current story and all the feats shown to us so far. 1. Rivalry and equality in the past. Let's start with the foundation. The rivalry between Mihawk and Shanks. It's been confirmed that Mihawk and Shanks were once fierce rivals. Whitebeard himself spoke of their duels as legendary, suggesting that their battles were on par with those of Roger and Whitebeard, the pinnacle of power in the One Piece world. This implies that, at that point in time, Mihawk and Shanks were equals in strength. However, everything changed when Shanks lost his arm. After that, Mihawk no longer seemed interested in dueling him, saying he wouldn't fight a one-armed man. Many fans use this as evidence that Mihawk is stronger, because he seemingly saw Shanks as no longer worthy. But here's the thing. Oda himself has confirmed that Shanks did not get weaker after losing his arm. In fact, he may have become even stronger. This completely debunks the idea that Shanks is automatically weaker now. So Mihawk's disinterest is not a definitive argument in his favor. It's simply his personal judgment. Therefore, pre-time skip, Mihawk and Shanks were portrayed as rivals, equal in strength. And even now, we have no solid in-universe evidence that this dynamic has drastically shifted. 2. The world's greatest swordsman. Title one of the most common arguments in favor of Mihawk is that he holds the official title of world's greatest swordsman. This is true. He's been stated multiple times to have the greatest swordsmanship in the world, and Zoro's entire character arc is centered around surpassing him. But here's where things get more nuanced. Titles in One Piece are often perception-based, not absolute truths. For example, Kaido was called the strongest creature in the world, yet he was defeated by Gear 5th Luffy. Whitebeard held the title of World's Strongest Man, but it's clear his strength had declined due to age and illness. So while titles are respected, they aren't always definitive proof of actual power at any given moment. Mihawk's title means he's the best swordsman, yes, but not necessarily the strongest fighter. In the One Piece world, especially at the highest level, strength involves more than just swordsmanship. It includes haki, devil fruits, endurance, and battle IQ. So the argument that Mihawk's title alone proves he's stronger than Shanks falls short when examined closely. Let's now compare actual feats from both characters. Shanks's feats stopped Kaido from going to Marineford, off-screen, but heavily implied. Clashed with Whitebeard, splitting the sky, something only top tiers can do. Casually blocked Akainu's Magma Fist, which had killed Ace just moments prior. Scared off Admiral Green Bull using haki alone from miles away. One-shotted Kid, a supernova with a 3 billion bounty, effortlessly. These are direct, impactful feats that solidify Shanks as Yonko tier or above. He's repeatedly shown to be a top-tier threat, not just in name, but in action. Mihawk's feats sliced a massive galleon in half with a casual swing. Easily defeated pre-time skip Zoro, showing a huge gap between them. Sliced an entire frozen tsunami during the Marineford War. Briefly clashed with Vista, one of Whitebeard's top commanders, though the fight wasn't serious. Mihawk's feats are impressive, but less impactful and much older in terms of timeline. Since Marineford, we haven't seen him do anything that puts him clearly at Yonko level. Some fans argue that Mihawk simply stays away from conflicts, looking for a worthy opponent. That's true, but that still leaves us with fewer on-screen feats to judge him by. So based on feats, Shanks clearly has the upper hand. Haki, the true power. Haki is arguably the most important power system in the world of One Piece, especially at the top level. And in this area, Shanks dominates. Shanks has been shown to have incredibly advanced Conqueror's haki, capable of knocking out high-level opponents and even disabling observation haki in others. He scared off Admiral Green Bull using Conqueror's haki alone, from a distance. His future sight and advanced observation haki have been implied in various scenes. Meanwhile, Mihawk's haki is not as clearly shown, though we can reasonably assume he has extremely strong armament haki, since he's Zoro's end goal and must surpass powerful opponents like King and Kaido. However, Shanks is confirmed to have mastered all forms of haki at the highest level, particularly Conqueror's haki, which Mihawk doesn't even have confirmed. In high-level sword fights in One Piece, Haki is more important than technique alone. Zoro versus King, Roger versus Whitebeard. These battles were decided by Haki clashes, not just raw sword skill. So when it comes to Haki, Shanks once again holds the advantage.
5. Power scaling estimation, a mathematical breakdown. Now let's do some rough power scaling based on the current story. Mihawk is Zoro's final goal. It's heavily implied Zoro will surpass Mihawk when Luffy becomes Pirate King. Currently in the Elbaf arc, we're roughly 60 to 70% through the story. This would mean Zoro is 60 to 70% of the way to Mihawk's level, so Mihawk is 30 to 40% stronger than Zoro at this point in time. That's a substantial gap, but not insurmountable. Now let's compare Zoro to Luffy. Zoro injured Kaido, yes, but Luffy beat Kaido 1 versus 1 with Gear 5. Luffy is clearly stronger than Zoro. We can estimate Luffy is 15 to 20% stronger than Zoro based on feats. If Mihawk is 30 to 40% stronger than Zoro, and Luffy is only 15 to 20% ahead of Zoro, then Mihawk is still stronger than Luffy, technically speaking, by around 10 to 20%. However, let's look at Shanks. He one-shotted Kid, someone Luffy would likely beat with difficulty. That means Shanks is likely 10 to 15% stronger than Luffy, possibly more. Now, let's align the numbers. Mihawk, 30 to 40%. Zoro Shanks, approximately 30 to 40%. Zoro, based on how far ahead of Luffy he is and how Luffy compares to Zoro. So both Mihawk and Shanks appear roughly equal in strength based on scaling, but Shanks has better feats. That gives him the edge in an actual fight.
Conclusion: who's truly stronger? So where does this leave us? Titles alone aren't enough to settle the debate. Mihawk and Shanks were once equals, but since then, Shanks has displayed far more impactful feats. Haki-wise, Shanks clearly outclasses Mihawk, especially with Conqueror's Haki, a crucial weapon in high-level battles. Power scaling suggests they're close in strength, but Shanks edges out due to more complete mastery of all fighting elements. So yes, Mihawk may still be the world's greatest swordsman, but that doesn't automatically make him the strongest fighter. Until Mihawk shows Yonko-level feats, Oda has clearly portrayed Shanks as the more dominant force in the current timeline. And that's where we stand, for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Mihawk has some hidden broken ability we haven't seen yet? Could he be stronger than Shanks and just hasn't revealed it yet? Either way, this debate won't truly end until these two clash once more, or Zoro reaches the top.